So Africans first came here, arrived in 1619, and last year was the 400th year of us arriving here in the Americas. Now, a lot of people ask, how did they get here? Were they kidnapped or the slave traders? There's a few of them. What happens is that they were sold, they were already slaves in Africa, and they were sold by their kings to the slave traders for goods. Now, during that period of time also, the Muslims were also involved in a lot of other countries were in the slave trade. We really don't know history, so we know how horrible it was for a lot of Africans coming to all these different countries, whatever, and how badly they were treated. One thing they used to do, they like eunuchs, so they would take these young boys, and what they do would kind of tear out everything they had. 6 to 7 of them would pass away at the time to make eunuchs of them because they got more money for them. We're going to move through very quickly to the next one, just to the civil rights era here, the 1800s. Now, the Democrats wanted to pass the fugitive slave laws, okay, which the Africans lost the right to be represented by councils as slaves preside for the return of slaves who escaped from one state into another state.
Miss Ashley, could you just move over a little bit so we can see the screen? Thank you so much.
Yeah, maybe move that a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Abraham Lincoln was a president, Republican president from 1861 to 1865. That's we had a grand old party. I tell people all the time, sometimes people have a negative connotation about that. I said, you better be glad it was a grand old party. Because the Republican Party was an anti-slavery party, okay? Lincoln in 1863 signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It was actually executive order, okay, that freed slaves in designated areas. In that time, also Republicans, what they passed in 1865 was the 13th Amendment, okay? You can see that the Republicans voted 100%, and the Democrats voted 24%. They said from the House, and then you see from the Senate. Republicans voted 100%, and the Senate, Democrats voted 38%. President Lincoln, Republican, he was assassinated, and he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer. Now, moving on, in 1867, Texas Republicans Party was founded by the Whigs and Democrats and comprised of 150 blacks and 20 whites. The 14th Amendment was passed in 1868 and was designed to grant citizenship and to protect civil liberties of the ex-slaves. And you see there again, Republicans voted 134-06, Democrats 036-0. Okay, in the Senate, same thing. And so you see, even throughout history, Republicans are the ones that were giving blacks their civil rights. The 15th Amendment, which was guaranteed blacks the right to vote, Republicans all voted yes, the Democrats voted no. Now, 40 acres and a mule, you guys hear that sometimes? That was an actual thing under President Lincoln. And what it was is that once they won their freedom, what happened was that General Sherman had signed an executive order. And what that executive order did is said, listen, we're gonna grant blacks or here 400,000 acres from the Carolina coast all the way to Florida, okay? Also, they gave them all the mansions that were there that belonged to plantations, belonged to the slave owners, whatever, and they said, we're gonna give those to you too. And say, along with that, what else you want? We want a mule. So that's how the 40 acres of the mule came along. Now, imagine if blacks would have been able to keep all that land, okay? I think that's one of the reasons that President Lincoln was assassinated, because of that land. Now, what the Army said is that we don't want to see one white person anywhere on that land. The only way we want to see it bothering black people is somebody there putting white people off the land. So for 6 months, it went well. But guess what? President Lincoln was assassinated. And when Johnson came in, a Democrat, back then it was a Democrat vice president at the time, he took the office, he kicked all those black people off that land they were given. He took all the plantation stuff back, and then everything was done at that point. They no longer owned the land or the plantation. And a lot of them, it was done by force.
Did they give them deeds?
Wait.
Oh.
Okay. So in 1872, there was a congressional hearing. And at this congressional hearing, it was established that the Democrats would want to establish the Ku Klux Klan. And it was established to prevent the spread of Republicans and also for blacks, okay? 1870 to 1875, legislation and political actions were done. Republicans passed many pro-black civil rights laws, okay? In 1876, the Democrats regained the legislature, and they're the ones that passed the Jim Crow laws. establish racial segregation, separate but equal, restrict labor laws, rights, movement and organization by blacks, no future race-based, civil rights, laws passed till 1957. Now beginning, let's move back quickly, and then 1964 is when the Civil Rights Bill was passed. And you can see here, 75% of Republicans voted for it in the House, 40% of Democrats. Same thing in the Senate, similar numbers. Now the Voting Rights Act was passed, they always talk about voting rights in 1965, okay? And you see again with the legislation, 78% for the Democrats backing it, and then 82% Republicans. Now, it's really funny when they talk this day about the voting rights. Back in the day when you first started to vote, okay, you may have to walk 10, 20 miles to a voting booth. We walked. When you got there, you may have to report the most serious parts of the Constitution or whatever, and they would ask you a question about that. If you pass that, there would be like, well, how many bubbles are on this bar of soap? If you pass that, how many jelly beans are in this jar? Okay, that's what black people had to put up with in order to just start vote. They did it anyway. And when they got back home, there may have been a rope or a beating waiting for you just because you arrived to vote. What does vote suppression look like now? You have to show up and have an ID card. Okay, ID card compared to what black people used to go before, just have the right to vote. And then we have people that won't even show up to vote. People die to give people that opportunity, whatever. But it's a sin and a shame nowadays that people won't even vote. Show up to vote, especially black people.
Are you saying showing ID is a form of suppression?
No. Just no.
Oh, okay, got it.
No,
Okay, that just wasn't clear.
of
Okay.
What we used to do before. And
Got it.
And wait till the end to ask questions. Okay, that way we can hear. Yes, right.
No.
I was first.
No, that was
Yeah,
I didn't
we
ask
just did a
that.
census here and just a demographics of the United States. And like I said, these are estimates, what they have, because you read different places, there may be different things going on. Okay, so the U.S. population in the 1960s, whites were about 163 million, blacks were about 21 million, Hispanics only 4%. We were going up in California, there were not a whole lot of Hispanics. 2014 U.S. population, whites then have gone down from 85%, about 7%. Blacks have gone up just 1%, and Hispanics now are 17%. Here in California, Hispanics are about 16 million, whites about 14 million, blacks only 2 million. All the neighborhoods, South Central, all the neighborhoods we used to have and dominate, they're gone now. But what it had nothing to do with the people came here. The government allowed a whole lot of people come in and overwhelm our neighborhoods. So all those chocolate cities that we used to have are all gone, okay? In 2014, 75% of black children are born out of wedlock. When I was growing up, 90% of the families were moms and dads. It's been a complete role reversal. Now, the beginning of the decline of the American family, that was with Lyndon Baines Johnson. And what he did at the time, now he hated black people with a passion. You think President Trump is bad with his language, and they think he's the worst president that ever lived? They have tapes of Lyndon Baines Johnson. His mouth was just like, his mom wouldn't even want to recognize that mouth when he put it there. And we were a bunch of ends of him. And what they did that period of time, he didn't really want to pass this legislation, but his idea was this. He said, black people are going to vote Republican because we treat them so badly. So we want to go ahead and pass these bills, get them on board with us. Along with that, we're going to give them some welfare programs. And along with the welfare, that's where your food stamps, your housing, all these things came in that we never had before. Now, you really can't blame black people. They had to work hard up that period of time. Now the government's going to come through and they're going to give you all this free stuff and help you out, but there was a caveat to that. In order to do that, the man had to leave the household. That started to break down our family. They were pushed out, the government replaced the dads. We took the money, that welfare program there, and then you see what happened over the last 60 years to our family. We were God-centered people that didn't take anything. My dad and them were growing up, you couldn't give them a penny. They worked hard. All these people you see on the corners now selling things, black people have those jobs. Construction jobs, we did those jobs. Everything, maids and things you had, black people did those jobs. So it's insulting to me who took care of the kids. It's insulting to me when people come in and talk about, how somebody else is coming in and doing this. I said, who do you think did those jobs for 350 years before you got here? Somebody was doing them. We were doing those jobs. It's an insult.
That's right.
Now, also in that period of time, it said from then until now, they said they may have spent about $20 trillion for this war on poverty that Johnson wanted, whatever, and $20 trillion Where's the money? Why these neighborhoods look worse than hellholes now, or worse than third world countries? Don't know. So before the 1960s, both poverty and dependence was declining, and black income was raising in both absolute and relative terms to white income. We were doing very well. The raise of the welfare state in the 1960s contributed greatly to the demise of the black family as a stable institution. For the next few decades, food stamps, public housing, Medicare, daycare, and temporary assistance to needy families penalized marriages. A mother generally received more money for welfare if she was single than if she was married. Once she took a husband, her benefits could be reduced as much as 50%. At that period of time, you had gangs, drugs, and jail that came in. When I was growing up, first of all, we didn't have gang problems, we didn't have drug crime. You definitely never killed any kids. Only time somebody got killed was two people got in an argument, and Grandma Medea were packing. That's what so they had 4 pistols, my auntie did. They had 2 here on the hip, 1 here, and 1 here in the bosom. You did not mess with those women, okay? It was serious business. But nobody's running around neighborhoods doing that because they had a strong family structure. Certain things were not allowed. I tell people all the time, when Michael Brown was killed in Baltimore, what happened that time, well, he was stealing things, okay? That's what got in that situation. Well, when I was growing up, before he would have got home to the police, Grandma, Medea, Dad, everybody, he would have got 4 whoopings. And by the time he got home, they didn't have phones. Auntie would have got him first, or first name was Liam. Big Mama would have got him second time, and then another beating from Grandma would have been on the corner. He would have never stole any place else. That boy would have been in college, okay?
Yeah.
But the complete breakdown of the family unit is what's going on right now.
Yep.
We had talked about what type of things that black people did in the society before they were completely put out. Now you see all the jobs along that other people are doing. We had those jobs. We were doing that job for 350 years. We didn't get $15 an hour, okay? You got maybe $2 an hour or a whip or something if you didn't do your job, but somebody was doing that job before other people came here. They let illegal people and refugees come in and pretty much overwhelm our system and put us completely out, and then put us in this welfare state in where we are right now. But we were the worker bees in the society. Also, we were the inventors. So if you guys don't realize, just once you look at this graph here, almost everything you enjoy is because a black man or black woman did it for you. Out of necessity, it was required, okay? Another thing too, I know you guys saw Hidden Figures with the NASA program, and I just really found out about this, about those women, human computers that work for NASA. And one they highlighted was Miss Johnson. And so you have a woman that with a chalkboard and a piece of chalk sent a man to outer space and back home. No calculator and no computer, okay? Because in our neighborhood, in our society, it was required for you to be smart and intelligent. We were scientists, we were mathematicians, that's what we were raised. And our schooling, they say, it wasn't substandard because we didn't have maybe what the other side had, whatever, because we had these buses in places. But in your home life, in those schools, you were very well trained and educated. Dummies were not accepted in our community, okay? I'm gonna fast forward very quickly. Another decline of the family was the institution for Planned Parenthood and the abortion issue. Now, a lot of people had abortion years ago because they didn't know the gravity of what was gonna happen. But since that period of time, there's only 38 million black people left here in the United States. We have exterminated over 20 million babies. We should be 80 million strong here right now and growing. But we bought into this thing with Planned Parenthood, and now in our communities, we have abortion clinics, we have liquor stores, we have funeral homes, now we have weed shops. Those are 4 thriving businesses in our community. Now, Democrats have always praised and loved Ms. Sanger. She's the biggest racist ever lived.
That's right.
Okay, she wanted all black babies eliminated, okay, exterminated. So I'm just like, why is her bus still up? She'll be, seems like being the first one taken down. The Democrats have had a hold on this message, and we need to retain this message, that to really show who they are and the people who they support. Now, a couple of things with Margaret Sanger, she wanted different things to be done in our society. One thing she wanted to have like 1 baby per family, or whatever. That really hurt us because blacks have a lot of children. Also, when you look at these, go to the next one. The next one. Yeah. Also, when you look at these abortions, they're from like 2015. Sometimes they're updated every couple of years over our population, and then it just shows the number of kids that we've exterminated. Now, what we're doing now with this also is that the reason why they want the kids older is for baby parts. Has nothing to do with, you have the choice or your choice, as a woman, whatever. But if they get an older organ, guess what? They sell for more. So now what they did, that they want babies on the table live or 9 months old, guess what? They remove their organs out, they demand more money than to have maybe a preemie that's only like 2 or 3 months old. Now you have a 9-month-old, pretty much a full grown, child and stuff at that point. That's what this is about, selling from baby parts. And we as black people have bought into this, but again, the message never gets out to us, really what's going on. It's hidden from us, so for us to educate people what we're trying to do. These are just some figures here that let you know the different things in our community that is actually killing us. AIDS, violent crime, accidents, cancer, heart disease. Why we're being exterminated is because of abortion. Okay. Also now with Margaret Sanger's dream that she had, okay, where it say the one child per family, okay, Martin Luther King Sr., which Martin Luther King came out of, his previous grandfather had like 9 kids, okay. He came out of that lineage, okay. His father at that point had 3. Does anybody know where Martin Luther King stood in that lineage that, where his father came out of with the 3 siblings he had? Was he 1, 2, or 3?
3.
2.
There you go.
So if Margaret Sanger would have had her way, the sister would have been born, Martin Luther King Jr. that would have been here, if she would have had her way. And we have to realize, being people of faith, I'm sorry, the heart was in there. That's just a heartbeat of a baby.
You want me to go to that side?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, go ahead, yeah. That's a heartbeat of a baby that I had in there, whatever. Because sometimes we have sound we put in there, but that's what a heartbeat. God knew who we were even before we were born, okay? We were there in the womb. That's what the heartbeat of a baby sounds like. Now, what we have here, next slide I went to was what cities are declared a state of emergency. Now, you have out the FBI, this is 2017, the 10 most dangerous cities. Surprise, most of them besides one nonpartisan and a Republican is run, everybody else is Democrat. Okay, used to be all Democrats, but I think the nonpartisan really is, he votes that way. The other gentleman it's really interesting, he's from Inglewood, you guys may know him, the mayor. He's doing a really good job, isn't he his 3rd term, whatever? But he has some women issues. Okay, he pays somebody almost $400,000 to be a secretary. Okay, but he's doing a real good job for England.
He's a Republican.
That kind of drama has taken place, and I think the first time he ran like 80%. Now he's down to like 63%, and he's a Republican, still doing a good job. He's a black guy actually, but that outside extramarital issues is really getting a lot of.
Yeah,
So in San Bernardino, our mayor is a Republican and a skank.
Okay, so this is just a demographic, just show him here of California. And like we said before, this is like 2011, we're getting ready to do a statistic right now for the census tract. So at that time, 39% were white, only 6.6 were black, and Hispanics were 38%. I think Hispanics surpassed whites in that case. Now, 2015, California non-immigration. Most of these laws were passed after 2000 and became especially plentiful after 2012, when President Obama took effective action that shielded deportation from a lot of these people. Okay, they had in-state tuition, driver's license, limited deportation, state-funded health care for children, DREAM Act students in the country legally are allowed without legal status to obtain law and other professional license. Medicare covers the children of younger than 19 regardless of this legal status. Brown had appointed a number of non-citizens in the country legally to state license and departments according to his office sanctuary cities, which are big here in California. Work permits to farm workers living in the country legal. Large percentage of jobs you have are to be bilingual. Now, if I was coming from another country, the way I was living, making $2 a day or something like that, with all this, I would be coming too. It's not the people that are coming, it's the lawmakers. And the thing about it is, they to the point, you put your non-citizen before citizens. I have no trouble helping people, whatever, but you can't put a portion of your citizens out. Just like if you did this great meal at home and you have all these kids that are sitting at the table waiting for the meal. And as soon as the meal is over, the mom wraps it up and she goes down the street and gives it to another family. And you sit there hungry. Black people are a point that we've been put behind illegals, refugees, anything else you can think of, whatever. We're like down at the bottom of the totem pole, and we came here and built most of this country up, whatever. Now it's just like, we just want you for your vote. That's all. Once you get that, and after another couple of terms, whatever, they won't even need that from us.
Yep.
Now, this one we talk about too, because you always hear about the number of people that died from gun violence. Now, this initial statistics was back in 2016, and they said about 33,880 people died from gun violence, okay? What they don't tell you is 62% of those people were suicide. So you thinking all these people running around killing themselves, okay? Which is not happening, okay? 11,562 people are murdered, 7,000 of those and 8,000 of those are black. So if you minus that out, you come down to a much smaller figure with the other numbers you have here: unintentional death, police intervention, and then other intents and not known, whatever. But the numbers are smaller for gun violence than you think it is, only maybe 4,000 to 5,000, which is still too many, but it's not 30-some thousand, because a lot of those people have committed suicide. Now, if they would take care of people with the mental health issues and people in black communities, whatever, that this death coming from, you'd have very little gun violence here, okay? By the numbers. Now, this is thing that's come up recently because people think that that police are running around and just slaughtering, black people, driving while black and stuff. We got thousands of people being killed by police officers every year. The media just blows it up that way. They take one incident and just make it really big. It's not happening. So we did by the numbers here. They had about 10 million arrests black in 2019. 1,000 of those said police killed. 370 white, 235 black, 158 Hispanic, and others about 37. Unarmed killed by police, white were about 20 to 30, blacks were about 10 to 15, police killed were 147. Now compare that to 8,000 kids. You do not have a police problem. What you have is a violence in the inner city problem. And if you put your energy behind that, these numbers will go down astronomical. It's not the police, it's complete breakdown of family unit and what has happened in our inner city, and has been allowed to happen over decades. And nobody said anything about it. I think you guys have seen it on TV, and last week, we see this all the time. I'm living in an area that, one of the worst cities in California to live. And we see this death going on. They pass resolutions. They pass them so they don't have to do any work. If they put their resources in these communities and get actual people in these communities to help do more community help policing, a lot of these things be resolved, but you gotta work with that family structured unit. That's where that school choice is gonna be so important here too, because that's gonna help with what we're trying to do now as far as bringing families back together, where the family, the church, and the school can again work together. Okay, now I put this in for White Lives Matter, okay? Because you hear this all the time, that we have a problem with, white extremists going around killing people, killing hundreds of people, things like you would think so when you talk about it. So this group here that we know of, there was a dramatic surge of white supremacist violence in 2017. Far right was responsible for the majority of American extremist killing in 2017. White supremacists and other far right extremists were responsible for 59% of all extremist-related fatalities in 2017, according to the anti-defamation league. You know who they are. Okay, so when you go down to the second paragraph, a spokesman for them explains the report looks at known murders or killings by predators associated with domestic extremist movement. We are not accounting for all the acts of violence and mass shootings. However, if a mass shooting such as Charleston or San Bernardino were found to be linked to extremist movement and resulted in death, then they would include that in. So you see, they're kind of throwing everything in, even though it's not really related at all. So these get down to the numbers, because when you read the first two paragraphs, they must be going around killing hundreds of people every year. Okay, so in total, extremists killed at least 34 people in 2017, and the far right accounted for almost 6% of that in these deaths, or 20. So what they do when they put this information out, because that's all you see the first paragraph, you would think that there's just thousands or hundreds of people being killed by white supremacist people running around, and even the FBI came out, said this is one of the biggest problems we have here, white supremacists. No, you don't, with 34 people dying. 7,000 is what you have. You don't have a white supremacist problem. You have a violence in the inner city problem. Let's go again. And this, I can't hardly get to this about crime, because this is our key as a show what's happening all the time. So this kid was killed, I think, just a week or so ago, a promising basketball star. The reason that I brought this in because it reminds my son. My son played basketball point guard when he was in high school here. So 17-year-old basketball star Brandon Hendrick shot to death in Bronx just days after graduating high school. He had all kinds of scholarships to go to college. The people just were in disbelief that they had it. Had nothing to do with him, he was somewhere else, whatever, and he was out, somebody started shooting, and he got shot in the neck and killed, okay?
When was this?
This was either in the Bronx, yeah, New York. But the thing about it is, this is one story, okay? 7,500 to 8,000 kids. We're experiencing this every year in our communities, and nobody gives a crap. And I tell people all the time, if black people don't care and listen, why should anybody else care?
Jamil Shaw.
You don't get up and get
That's
mad
right,
about
Dominic
it.
Durden.
So, where's your protest at? Why are you sitting around
Corey
letting
Daly.
all these other people protest for you that don't live in your community? They have no idea how you live, what you go through every day, okay? Has nothing to do with them, okay? So
Oh,
we're gonna talk about the real Joe Biden just quickly here. I've flipped through a lot of things, okay? So I was going through his agenda item and for his past record he has, trying to find anything he's ever done to help black people. I couldn't find one thing, okay? So I'm just like, okay, you said he keeps touting on this record, how he's helped us and what he's done, whatever, one accomplishment. And even when I went to all the liberal sites, not one accomplishment in all the 47 years he's been in office. Even under President Obama, they didn't do anything, okay? Whatever, him especially in the Senate, he did nothing. Matter of fact, if you look at his words and stuff here, who he was really staunch against black people from just his words he put out and the way he talked about it. He was always talking about somebody raping his mother. Who wants to rape your mother? That's all he talked about most of the time. So I'm just confused as far as but that's when he talked, and black people.
Yeah, don't forget that
things like
if you don't vote for me,
He's
you
one
ain't
that did
black.
that, the law, the jail law that put a lot of our boys into prison and stuff, too, for small crimes. Okay, that was him. Okay, so next slide, please.
oh Lord.
Now, we need to compare that to our President Trump, okay? Lowest unemployment record before COVID-19, First Step Act, signed prison bill, okay? Which is got a lot of people that should have been in jail out, but they don't just get them out. They provide training, schooling, housing, everything for them, once they are released from prison, okay? Some of the records are expunged altogether. Permanent funding to historical black colleges, permanent funding now for that. Opportunities on investment. Now, some people have been complaining about that, but what it is that we don't necessarily have the money we need, but like my friend always say, we need to partner up. And you need to get to the point where you can, maybe a couple of you do something like that. Now, I don't know if you guys know this rapper, Nipsey Hussle, passed away last year, whatever. Okay, he had the right idea. He had gone in, he was buying this complex, and he said, we're gonna do this all over LA, whatever. And he was employing black kids and putting them to work, training stuff before he got killed. I think that development went bankrupt. Now, all these people that got their mouth open, why did some of you step up and take over what he had started? Nobody. Silence. Okay? A dramatic decline in food stamps and welfare program. He's proposing now the second step act where he would have employers to hire these people come out of prison. Funding for tech and vocational schools, proposed school choice initiative, numerous attempts to help cities ravaged by violence. Now, when President Trump first came into office, one of the biggest things he said, he called Mayor Emanuel in Chicago. He said, Ron, let me help you, man. We cannot continue to have all this killing going on. Ron said, heck no, you can't help us. I think he called him 3 times, whatever. Same like the parent man they have, where he's volunteered numerous times. He said, guys, at this point, you're worse than a third world country. You're a war zone. You need some people in there, a National Guard. I have 330,000 National Guard. Let us help you to get the crime out and get it straight. How many black kids would have been saved if they would have taken them off? But they hate you more than they love their own children, more than they love their community. The thing about it is we don't point that out. Nobody really knows that story because I read about it there or whatever. He said, even recently, I'm offering help, guys. I'm here. Let me help you. Nope. This is the continue to let our kids die. Numerous attempts to help cities ravaged by violence. Signed a foster care initiative, housing adoption. I don't know if you guys know about this, where after you get out of foster care, what they do pretty much is probably give you a few $100s, throw you out on the street. A lot of those kids in the homeless with nothing to eat, on drugs. So what they got an initiative now that when you come to that foster care system, and they already been abused there, once you come out of there, what they're gonna do is that they give you housing voucher, you have a place to live, to stay, food and everything is provided for you, so you're just not out on the street. Training and stuff that you need. And nobody's done that for him, okay? Eviction centers, resource centers, what they are doing, and that's be like a one-stop shopping where you can go in and get a lot of resources from the government in one place. I think some are up and running already. I've checked which ones are. We have a homeowner increase, and he has a sickle cell anemia funding. I know anything about that. One thing he has too, they're still building that wall on the southern border, reduce illegal immigration. And this is important to black people, that's why. Because people that come here legally, they're not going to Beverly Hills. Where they went is right to the inner cities in our communities and overwhelmed. We don't have, you're talking about 16 million and 2 million, okay? Most black people have put out or left, whatever. We built those communities, and now suddenly they're nowhere to be found. So illegal immigration has decimated our communities, not legal, illegal immigration. Now, for those of you that have been paying attention to the movements that have been going on with people tearing down statues and all kinds of stuff lately and giving money to, you know, all these groups up here, we have a number of groups, I won't list them all, but these are just some of the monies that belong to these groups. Let me tell you guys something, this is a money grab. It always have been. Now, we as black people know that. They got you guys so scared you don't know what to do. It has nothing to do with racial injustice or anything else. It got to do with money. This is how they get paid. So every time a police officer, somebody white, kills a black person, which happens, you saw the numbers, very rarely, they go out with their signs and their protests and stuff too, and all of a sudden, they get millions of dollars in their coffers. Now, all those people that started these organizations, they're filthy rich.
That's right.
You can't think of anything, one thing they've done in inner cities. Now, if you collected all this money over all these years, why do these cities still look like this? Because it's greed, and these companies still keep buying in this stuff. They're just trying to get money off you. It has nothing else to do but that. And I'm sorry, white people, you guys stand up and tell them they shut them down. Listen,
I have.
No, we not.
This
doing
white
it.
guy has.
That's what it's about. So, we know it. That's why I think when John Johnson was on, Bob Johnson on TV the other day, he said, we just laughing at you guys. I mean, we look around here and you guys sitting around crying in a prone position, stuff like that. He says, stop it. Okay? You're not responsible for what your ancestors did. Neither I'm responsible for that, okay? Everybody got that. You can see where blacks came from, Africa came from, how badly they were mistreated in Africa before they got here, or whatever. So everybody back then had slavery. Right now, you still got slavery going on in a lot of different countries, okay? They're not addressing that. But these kiddies, these children don't know that because their minds have been brainwashed, thinking this is something, oh, we should just, give these people, or, we shut down these people. Now, my suggestion would be this, before you can protest, you have to do an ancestor background, okay? And a lot of your ancestors were slaveholders, slave traders, KKK. And if we do an ancestry check and find out that what your parents or grandparents are involved in, guess what? You can't have a job. You can't live. Make it personal for them. So you got to be a card before you can march. We want to do an ancestry check background on you. And so if any of your relatives or ancestors were involved in any of that, guess what? You can't be out there. Now, a lot of these kids would upsetting me too, and upsetting a lot of us would too, because a lot of our areas got burned down. They showed up in our neighborhoods, in our areas. They're supposed to be working for us. They don't go to all the neighborhoods, whatever, with their Black Power sign up, or really the Black Power sign they're putting up, whatever. And then they're saying, well, they don't have to work for us or talk for us. We don't have to talk for ourselves, whatever. Now, my thing is just look at these little kiddies, and most of them rich. I'm just like, you didn't walk there. How'd you get there? Their BMW, Mercedes-Benz is parked around the corner. They live in ritzy areas, gated communities. They come in our areas, and then they make a mess out. Then they go home. And then I saw a lot of them on TV doing Facebook posts in front of burning cars, burning. I'm sorry, this is Sunday, and I gotta watch my mouth here. You need to get butt moving. That's what you want. And I'd be saying something else that wasn't Sunday, I wasn't in a different environment, whatever. Because other people I check to a different way or whatever. But this is ridiculous what's going on right now, and people are buying into this nonsense. The next one, they deface a lot of our sculptures and soldiers. They don't even know what they were defacing. Just did it because they're there. And most of the one thing they defaced had to do with blacks being, memorial for, people who fought in World War I. Clayton Jackson, they did that too. That was 3 black men that were wrongly lynched. Okay,
Oh, wow.
They took down Frederick Douglass, took him from his base, whatever. Frederick Douglass. Okay. Now, this is what something removing our history I put down here. What Miss Taylor or Tyler Swift, whatever the heck her name is. Because I would love to have talked to some of these people. Okay, as a Tennessean, it makes me sick that there are monuments standing in one state to celebrate racist historical figures who did evil things, shit broke. We need to retroactively change the status of people who are who perpetrate hideous patterns of racism from from heroes to villains, and villains don't deserve statues, she said. And then somebody suggested, wasn't her, but somebody said initially, she suggested taking down the Statue of Liberty. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not. That Statue of Liberty poem that was put in decades after, I think that it was first given to us, whatever, about bring your poor and different things like that. It wasn't for that. Again, the Statue of Liberty was given to France, to black America, to black people, or to America for abolishing slavery.
That's right.
Most people don't know that.
Mm.
If you look at her feet, she still got the chains on. Now initially she had a chain, I think original drawing, a chain in her hand also. They made that a tablet. But again, that was meant for us.
That's right.
For abolishing slavery. Not all these other people coming, it's fine what they're doing right now, but no recognition is given for what history is and what it was actually about. Oh, before you leave, let's talk about this. Now, in 2014, we had gentlemen talking about, this one was a reverend, I met him, about removing Margaret Sanger's Planned Parenthood from the Smithsonian. They wouldn't do it, and that was like 5 years ago. This is the biggest racist that ever lived.
That's right.
The biggest hater of blacks that lived. They got her butt. Democrats support her. I think that's a good talking point if you use it. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, next. Now, I say the tale of two businesses for this, and I love Ford because he stood up fighting to these people. So he had a group of employees that came through and said, we demand you stop selling police vehicles in the wake of police brutality protest. He said, screw you.
That's right, he sure did. Good for him.
Now, if you
Sure
don't like
did.
it, you pack your stuff and get out. I'm just
Find another
paraphrasing
job.
here, or whatever.
Wow.
Because
He took a
we're
stand.
here, safety's here, we're here for first responders. So we're not gonna take away vehicles they need for their safety purposes. He says, no, the people that, and people don't realize, the people that are tweeting you, okay, they don't buy your cars. They don't go to your restaurant. They don't go to Disneyland because the tickets are too expensive. They sit in their home, in front of their basement somewhere else, tweeting whatever. So why are you giving in this stuff? He says, no, I'm not giving into it. So if he would have said yes, what do you expect them to do? We're not gonna build cars. So were they supposed to ride a bike to the neighborhood? Well, that